Greetings sailors and welcome back to some more World Warships live play, this time with some French cruisers and indeed some of my more frequent acquisitions. And I suppose they're just generally recent additions to the game generally, although they didn't make that big of an impact, these French heavy cruisers. They're all basically Dunkirk / Richelieu preliminary designs. I guess more Dunkirk than Richelieu, because the Richelieu class basically came out of the Dunkirk class. So yeah, they're all rather less armoured, and Dunkirk isn't particularly heavily armoured to begin with, but obviously at much higher tier than the Dunkirk is, so they're not really pretending to be battleships as the Dunkirk is kind of pretending to be a battleship. The Strasbourg at tier 7 is definitely a bit more armoured, but still, you know, the same calibre of guns as well, which you do actually then find on the tier 9, the Brest, those 330 mils. The Cherbourg, however, which is what I'm going to play today, just because reasons. I could play the Brest, but I thought I'd play the Cherbourg and then do the Brest in a later video, and it's going to take me a while to get the Marseille, I think. Although probably not that long. I'm kind of enjoying playing these, but I'll get to that. The Cherbourg, in theory, has the same guns and ammunition as the Carnot, which is tier 9 heavy cruiser. And yeah, as you can see there, it is in theory the exact same shells, but in practice it's one of those times when, even though it's listed as the same guns and the same shells, the performance is in fact different because reasons. Yeah, I guess it's to tone it down a little bit for tier 8. Maybe they tried it with the exact same gun stats initially as the Carnot and decided it was doing a bit too well. But it's still, you know, it's still a hefty gun caliber for a cruiser, and the armour is overall not bad, but you don't want to rely on it especially. It is basically like playing the Dunkirk. If you are sitting there bow tanking in this thing, you're doing it wrong. You are doing it wrong. They do also have rather long-ranged secondaries. They're pretty decent for cruisers. That's the other kind of quirk of these. They can get out to 8.4 kilometers, and you compare that to the Martel, which is out to 8. I don't know if I've got a flag on that though, but yeah, they. Yeah, I wonder if in theory you could have a secondary spec French cruiser, but I don't think it would be worth it. So yeah, that's almost as good as the Carnot can get, and I think the Brest secondaries are pretty much the same, but there's just a few more of them. The same 130 mils, which I'm pretty sure also contribute to your AA. Anyway, I don't know why I'm looking at the secondaries though. I mean, other than the Napoli, which has got the baked-in secondary bonuses, yeah, there just aren't the cruiser skills to go with secondaries. You've really only got the equipment that you can put on. You have to have that kind of Napoli baked-in bonus for it to actually then be worth doing anything with secondaries on cruisers. And these definitely don't have that. So, tier 9 game. There is a sub and there is CV, which is not that fun. It's a beta as well, so it's going to be a single solid strike, and I guess we just have to hope they're more interested in going for like battleships, which we do have a few. We've also got another, it's a rather heavy cruiser loadout overall, so Siegfried, Brest on the enemy team. The Bayard is the only light cruiser. That's really not particularly well armoured. We'll stick with HE to begin with. I didn't even show you the captain skills, but I do eventually, even though it's a 19-point captain, I haven't quite got all the skills on that I want, so I would quite like expert loader, because it's a fairly long reload. It's almost a battleship. In fact, it is a battleship reload, because there are battleships that reload faster than this with larger caliber guns. So yeah, I don't quite have every captain skill I would like, but I've got most of them. One of the very nice features of this tier 8, or being a tech tree tier 8 even, is having a repair party. It's nothing special in terms of its power, but just having a repair party on a Tech Tree Tier 8 is an unusual feature. I think that is... I don't know how much of that is from its status sort of a bit in between cruisers and battleships as the Dunkirk is, or if it's just it wasn't doing well enough, so they decided to give the Tier 8 the heal, because normally it's just the Tier 9s and the Tier 10s that get a heal. Right, we're basically ignoring the ACAP apart from that one poor brave lone Nudachi who's decided they're going to give it a go. Yeah. The Rook's heading over, Sinop has only just woken up, but yeah, everyone's sort of tending over towards this way, so going over on the A flank myself would be a little bit foolish. Right, there is an Adriatico. They're going to be plenty fast. We'll see if we can manage to land any... No, they managed to duke out of the way of those. Pobeda is unsurprisingly a bit focused on our Jutland. And that's also a destroyer off to that side there as well. Right, let's see if we can... We'll stick with HE, I think, to begin with. I have had some decent success with the AP, but you have to be a little bit closer in terms of your range. And even though the HE isn't as good as the Carno in terms of fire chance, it's still got a very, very healthy 17%. It's just not quite as healthy as the, what was it, 25% on the Carno? It's also a slower reload than Carno, fewer guns than Carno, but, you know, a tier lower than Carno. I don't think there are any cruisers at this tier that... I think this is it in terms of gun caliber. I don't think there's anything else that has guns that are anything like this big. Everything else is pretty exclusively 203mm, although not wholly. There are other calibers around. Do I have the range for that? No, I do not. Right. That is... the Scorner Torps, which we should be able to avoid. There we go. Right, we're going to have to make the turn here and hope we don't completely get obliterated. I wasn't quite intending on getting this close, but then a torpedo drop happened. So that rather... Oh, that might hurt. That rather necessitated... yeah. Taking the turn. So a little bit awkward. But never mind. That guy, I guess, is just letting that fire, but he is actually just sat there bow tanking. You kind of don't want to do that. Now the downside of this turret arrangement is that even though the turrets are actually quite decent for large caliber turrets, they're still something like 30 seconds to traverse. So, yeah, they're not the snappiest. A couple of secondary hits there, nothing major. This would be potentially an interesting choice if there was a captain skill for cruisers that was equivalent to the secondary skills for battleships. It would actually be an interesting choice to maybe go for a secondary build. It would sort of depend what you had to give up. Right, this is a really awkward, weird game so far. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, we've capped here, but I mean, I don't know what's going on with this blob here, and we are possibly going to lose this cap. Right, let's use one of our reload boosters. Hopefully that's not the Skavetsky Soyuz looking at me. It probably is, actually. Yeah, it is. Right, unfortunately, didn't get that much, but I was really hoping to get a shot on the breast there, and then I had to angle a bit more for the Soyuz. Yeah, my AP is probably not going to do too much there, but we might get some superstructure damage. 5.4, that's not terrible. I'll take it. Right, yeah, the Adachi's trying to get away, but doing so in a slightly awkward fashion. I've lost more health than I would like. But to be honest, this team is... I don't really know how to categorize what this team is doing so far. It's kind of weird. I ended up putting myself in a situation I didn't necessarily want to be in. But we're still in the game. One of the advantages of having the long reload is... and a decent range as well, it must be said. You know, it's not... like amazing, but 17.7 is still pretty good for a tier 8 cruiser. It does give you time to stealth up in between shots. Shall we? Yeah. Let's angle back towards that way. Which can be very, very useful. At times. Right, we kind of need to defend the A-cap as it's turning out, because I have no idea what's going on here on the 910 line. I think those battleships are dead. The Siegfried is possibly dead. I don't know. They're not that outnumbered, but they've put themselves in a position where they cannot... Right, there's no retreating from that. There's no getting away. They might find some temporary reprieve behind an island. I don't know, maybe they just end up completely outperforming these ships here. Maybe it's fine. Maybe I shouldn't be worried at all. I don't know. Right, we lost the Sinop. Bismarck is taking the attention of the carrier. Gneisenau's there. Okay. Not doing too badly. I'll just keep plugging away at this Brest for the time being. The stealth is another thing that's not even that bad. I mean, it's not brilliant, but 12.3 considering these are sort of, I mean, pocket battleships? Do you want to call them pocket battleships? They effectively are. Not quite in the sense that the Germans meant, but yeah. It's yeah, they're quite big for cruisers. They're quite chunky. They've certainly got some quite tall superstructure going on, so yeah. I wonder if it's worth going for some AP. Could do another reload booster. It does give you plenty of reload boosters to work with. Well, let's give it a go. It's not the most optimal angle, but let's try it. Doesn't even need to be that much damage to finish him off. Alas, no. Overpens. If you can get close up, especially against a battleship, I mean, it's kind of like the Dunkirk. The shells do not lack for penetration. They absolutely do not. Right, okay, well, somehow the weirdness on the 910 line is kind of working. We've actually got the C cap. I don't know. I don't know how to describe what's going on here. We're winning. And it's weird, but we're winning. Not an amazing amount of damage, but for a tier 8 cruiser, I mean, you know, if I was in a Megami or something, I'd probably be in a considerably worse state right now with the hits that I've taken already. Just with the squashiness and the lack of range that something like Megami has. I do weirdly feel much more comfortable playing cruisers like this and the Siegfried and the Brest and the Carno and to a lesser extent things like Napoli and Venezia. than the faster firing or the squashier heavy cruisers. Even things like Zhao or Des Moines, they're not really my first choice by any stretch of the imagination. Right, I don't want to... It's looking at me, so let's just... like, maybe see if we get them to fire at somebody else, or maybe do a bit more manoeuvring, or... I don't know. I want the damage, but at the same time I want not to be blatted by Sovietsky Soyuz guns at 13.5 kilometers, which is relatively close range for those. Right, I've got my... that's one of the skills I do have, is that... whatchamacallit? Is it outnumbered? It's just flicking on and off there, but it gives you a nice kick to your speed boost and dispersion, potentially. It's more useful in sort of dire straits situations than it is sort of more, I don't know, predictable ways. Like, it's hard to get it to trigger on purpose, unlike Brisk or Swift in Silence, or is there even a cruiser equivalent for that? But where you can sort of go, right, I'm going to get unspotted and stay unspotted, you know, on purpose, just so I can enjoy the speed boost, because it's useful at this particular time as opposed to doing some damage. It's more a thing on battleships, I suppose, deliberately holding fire to get the speed boost. Though not that you really need it on this ship, because you've got your own speed boost. Right, I'm definitely way more worried about Sovietsky Soyuz's guns than Gneisenau. Although the 15-inch guns on Gneisenau can still hurt. Right, we'll see if we mostly get away with it, and we did, which is nice. Might get a chance to use some AP here. Actually, let's switch to AP. The chance to do damage is kind of rapidly running out. Maybe get a final booster going. Let's start that just now. Oh, he's angled a bit, but never mind. Still a decent hit. Ah, there we go. Well, I mean, that was nothing amazing, but 67k, a tier 8 cruiser, in a tier 9 game. I've certainly had much worse games in tier 8 cruisers, but it can certainly do better. I was not quite sure what my team or the enemy team was doing for a lot of that one, so obviously that that kind of complicated things of me not really being able to be decisive. That's the captain's skills, by the way. The remaining points I basically want to put into grease the gears and gun feeder. But yeah, otherwise I'm fairly happy. You could swap that with, say, radio location, or, you know, you could take top grade gunner, but that only gives you a secondary reload buff. It doesn't actually do anything for your range or secondary accuracy, unfortunately. The other way you could do it is try and buff your AA power a bit and make yourself a bit better protected against carriers. I mean, the DPS is not terrible. A bit more always helps, I suppose, but yeah, there's a fairly big jump from the tier 8 to the tier 9 in terms of the AA power. So yeah, might be more worth it on the tier 9. But then, of course, you're much more likely to be facing tier 10 carriers on a regular basis than in the tier 8. Of course, you can still see tier 10 carries in the tier 8, it's just, you know, statistically speaking. So this time, tier 10 and far more cruisers. Look at that, barely any battleships at all. 3 battleships, a whole mess of cruisers, and 3 destroyers. It has given them a division and hasn't managed to find one for us, which is unusual. Their division is the tier 8 destroyers, which seem to be much more firepower focused, but given that there aren't any carriers in play, yeah, they actually might be trouble if they stick together and are being effective, because I mean, we do have a Harugamo, but you know, they tier 10 as a Ragnar, so all their destroys are fairly firepower focused. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, okay, I'm going to head over to the west for the time being. I'm certainly not going to be doing anything silly or fancy around the camps. Might as well get a boost going as well, so we can get there all the quicker. We'll see what that Shenyang manages to spot. I could have put the speed boost equipment on, but instead I'm just using the captain skill for the bit of extra time. And in terms of equipment, I don't think I'm doing anything too wacky. It's all basically the standard stuff. I don't think I've decided what to put in the final slot on the breast yet, the tier 9, in terms of either extra rate of fire or extra range, because you could go either way. Although of course if you go with the extra rate of fire, that makes your turret traverse worse, and it's already worse compared to the tier 8, just with it being bigger guns. So I don't know if I would want the extra turret traverse, just you know, to deal with on top of the already sometimes awkward turret placement in terms of having to bring your guns all the way around. Right, we do have AP loaded, which I should have immediately gone with PhJ, but you never know, that actually might... is it gonna... Why did it only fire one turret? That is weird. That is weird. It should have fired both turrets. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Okay, Schlieffen's just going for it. Ragnar's are not trying to be stealthy. Yeah, we definitely don't have the range of the battleships. Yeah, there's where AP actually would have certainly been better. This is why expert loader is something I'm wanting. It's just the ability to decide better on the fly. Ragnar, are you pushing around that corner, Alaska? Be bold if you were. There we go, double citadel. He is, you know. Right, that could be Martel Torps. Kind of can't tell. I'm gonna have to lean back the other way, aren't I? It's either that or wait for my torpedoes to come around. Yeah, this Alaska is oof. That's a spicy strategy right there. That's bold, some might say. Perhaps a bit too bold. Yeah, let's get the reload booster going. Ideally, I would have gone back to high explosive, but you know what? We might well get to do something with the AP. Or someone else going to get in first. Oh no, there we go. I yoinked the kill with a single overpen. Right, well, that's a bonus. The Alaska can be a pretty dangerous opponent. I am honestly not sure why they did that, but I won't complain. Right, so the Cherbourg's making a run for it. The Tirpitz is literally on the A line. The Ragnar is going to be annoying. There's absolutely no two ways about it. It's going to be very, very annoying. Is it even worth chasing the Ragnar? Are they firing their mortars, their submarine mortars? I think they might be. Right, they're just disengaging. Oh, nice. Okay, that's some actually decent hits. Maybe we come up through the middle and try and finish off this Cherbourg. There's also an Akizuki around, which I have to be careful of. But, you know, I've got Hydro, so that's good. It does have a really nice array of consumables, this ship. I think you even get the choice of... it's the usual defensive and Hydro and that sort, and I'm pretty sure you get the choice of using a catapult fighter in the other slot if you really want. But I'm not sure why you would want. Let's get another boost going. I have been able to properly use the boost, like mostly it's because you've got quite a few of them, mostly it's to just skip the reload to the shells that you properly want kind of thing, but yeah. Sometimes you do get to get up close to somebody and just put 2 rounds of AP shells into their broadside at very close range. And it's very nice. Well, we've got 2 caps, but they have a lot of ships still alive and kicking. So I do not want to be complacent. Let me try the HE if he's going to be angled. I might still do some damage, but yeah, it tends to more be superstructure overpens. The only annoyance about that Ragnar is, you know, if we all just ignore him, they're going to sneak back in and get the A cap. Yes, hello, Turpits. Man, the Harugumo's almost as long as I am. Banana terracotta pie, is that a reference that I'm unaware of? Or is that just a random thing somebody decided to use as their username? Right, are you looking at me? I think you're looking at me. He's gone... Right, given the Bourgogne's coming around this way, I'm going to make a little turn. Yeah. Don't fancy heading face first into that mess. See all that Harugumo spots. Definitely wondering about this Ragnar. It'd also be really lovely to get a fire going on that Turpits. What's that, the Ibuki? I mean, the fact that I'm not spotted, I don't... Like, is the Ragnar gone down the 1 line, or... I don't know. I really don't know. Lots of space here to manoeuvre, though, which is nice. Yeah, there you are, you sneaky little so-and-so. Thought he'd try that. Right, we're gonna go for the A cap. I mean, I think we're winning, but... See if we can get a resetting shot on that guy. So watch my angle. Just as I was thinking, yeah, I gotta watch my angle. Somebody rudely shoots me. That was the Kerr first, okay. Right, the Neptune's going back as well. I mean, we're kind of hopefully closing off any possible avenue of escape. This is, again, a weird game. I don't know what to say about this. Ragnar's running. Got a Preußen on the J line with a Cossack that's going for them. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. This whole game is weird. Again. Sunday Warships, I guess. Oh, Rackler. Who is Rackler? Oh, Ibuki. Okay. Wow. You stay classy. You stay classy. Okay then. Gay Jews are like 50 million times cooler than you could ever hope to be, sir. Man, the fact that I know this is like current year argument, but the fact that anyone would, some people are just, well, they just are. They just are that. They're just that small. Anyway. Good grief. Well done ruining the mood of whatever. Again, nothing spectacular damage-wise, but I feel like I've played maybe a little more smartly this time. It's just... What was the enemy team doing? I don't know. They all bunched up on the one cap, pretty much. And that was that. It was like 3/4 of the team was at the C cap. And then failed to break out or do anything meaningful other than take the C cap. So yeah, that is very much that, pretty much. That was not a particularly impressive force of enemy ships. Although at least they managed not to be bigoted fuckwads in the global chat, so you know they've got that going for them at least. Pretty sure the Burgoyne's speed boosting. Is that too much lead? It might actually have been a bit much. Just blindly charging into the Harugumo, because what else is he going to do? I don't think my shells are even going to get there. This Burgoyne's melting. Oh, there we go. A little bit of extra damage. They're just desperately trying to heal their way out of that. Survive long enough to do something. But it's not going to happen. There we go. Again, fairly average game, but not bad score-wise. Actually a Marseille that was on top of the team there. So, yeah. We can also go ahead and put that Ibuki on my blacklist. Excellent. So yeah, so far it's been pretty good. And I'll actually maybe even bring up my... average stats. We'll have a look at that. So, only 11 games played so far, so you can't really take that much from it. I mean, 91% win rate, clearly it's OP, Wargaming plus nerf, but 78k average, which probably compares pretty favourably to most of my other tier 8 cruisers. I'm probably doing a lot better. Oshikov, 2 battles played, yeah, that's a good comparison. If this was a proper stats site, or you could sort by class and compare things, it'd probably be a bit easier to see. Baltimore, that's another good comparison. Apparently lots of my tier 8 cruisers I haven't played that much. 50k in the Otago, but I've been playing the Otago for a long time. 45. So yeah, it's one of those ones where I can say it's not going to be for everyone, and it's probably far from being the best tier 8 cruiser. And certainly for some people, the turret arrangement is going to be a bit off-putting, but it suits me. It suits me quite well. So even if the line itself isn't like historically massively interesting or anything, or you know, it doesn't stand out super well compared to other lines in terms of capabilities or gimmicks or whatever. It's still a style of cruiser that I quite enjoy playing. So I think the grind up through the rest to the Marseille is going to be quite a comfortable one. And as I said at the start, I will very probably do the next video that I do, that I sit down and record on this thing. So that is it for this particular video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, you could do all the usual things down underneath it, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.